I have come to the realization recently that I love flawed games. Now, I really like these masterpieces. But something about the human nature, the human element of imperfection, makes me appreciate games more. It makes me feel more connected to them on a personal level. Its imperfections don't push me away, it actually makes me want to replay them as I get older. One of those games is Final Fantasy XV, known for being all types of things. Being in development hell, an automated fest, and in general just being a confusing ass game. And I'll definitely get to that a little bit later, but expect this to be me revisiting the game since 2017 and most of its entirety. Also, please note that this review retrospective, or whatever you guys want to call it, at the end of the day, it's just my opinion. It's just my opinion. What I might say could be blunt, direct, or even incoherent, but these are just all my opinions on the game and my playthrough. But I will preface this by saying that this game does mean a lot to me, and by the end of this video, you guys will understand. But yeah, my name is Billy, and this is my most recent road trip with Final Fantasy XV. Real quick, there will be spoilers, so if this is your first time around and seeing this game, I do suggest that you watch at your own discretion because of spoilers. Also, feel free to hit that subscribe button. This video took forever to make. And for the interest of time, I will be grouping the video into segments. I highly recommend that you watch the section after chapter 14 to get the full picture and my true feelings. Also, time cards will be included, and the first section about development is rather lengthy, so if you'd like to skip to the actual current game, feel free to do so. Now, there's no better way to start than from the beginning, truly the beginning. Final Fantasy XV had an insane timeline, one that I semi-followed as well. If we are accounting its entirety, it began development under the original name Final Fantasy Versus 13, announced at E3 2006. It was originally an entry for Final Fantasy XIII where multiple games kind of took place in the same universe. Through what I was able to find, more things changed than staying the same. Firstly, the old gameplay on screen seems more to be in tune with Kingdom Hearts if we're doing a concurrent day comparison, with the UI looking similar to something like Kingdom Hearts 2. Tetsuya Nomura, you dog, you can't get away from Kingdom Hearts. Secondly, I have no idea who this girl was or even was supposed to be, maybe the Oracle, but I guess we'll never know. Thirdly, it looks like we were supposed to explore Insomnia or at least have a moment with them, but I guess that never happened, which is a missed opportunity. Fourthly, we were robbed of Noxus's old drip. Oh, it's fire! And lastly, just look at these areas. It's so reminiscent of 2007, 2008 era of video games. And I kind of wish that we did stick with this. It just has so much flavor, so much pizzazz. However, the plan for the universe connecting in FF Versus 13 just fell through. The vision shifted along with the release of the 8th gen consoles, the Xbox One and PS4. The name change to Final Fantasy XV was finally announced in 2013, and you can start to see how close it resembles the current game. Besides the fact that we never got a proper Insomnia invasion, oh my gosh. That was my biggest one, but whatever. So technically, Final Fantasy XV didn't start development until 2013. That's when the name changed and everything, right? So it was thanks to this book where it was like, okay, that's when it technically started, and all that stuff was in the past. And thank you to Lucas and Melly for getting this for my birthday. It's an awesome gift, but we are going to need it for this video, for sure. Now, there was a demo in 2015 that I never played called Episode to Sky, and by the looks of it, it does look very reminiscent of its current gameplay. There was also another demo in early 2016 called the Platinum Demo, and that one's pretty interesting. Unfortunately delisted from the store now, but you got to play as young Noctis, going through this dream world and following Carbuncle, the tutorial character, exploring all types of places in Eos like Altissia and Insomnia. Damn it, another Insomnia. They are teasing us. It doesn't seem like it affects the story in any way, but it's so whimsical, it's so lighthearted, it's so fun. It would have set the relationship with us, the player, and possibly with other things that are missing in this game. And after reading all this, I'm just surprised how much has come out. There's a Brotherhood movie which involves the main cast. It's a 5-episode tale focusing mainly on the boyhood relationships between Noctis and his comrades. The boyhood. There was a pinball kind of game called Justice Monster 5. There was also the Kingsglaive movie, which was supposed to be a movie about the events that took place between chapter 1 and 2. Have I watched this? No, but it is kind of important because it establishes Nox's dad, King Regis, Lunafreya, the Oracle, and the peace treaty that is supposed to happen. Also, there's like other shit that I just don't want to get through right now. We're not even at the game yet. The game released on November 29th, 2016, but continued to get updates and DLCs all the way until 2019, ending with episode Arden. When I played it in the beginning of 2017, it was quite different. To name a few things, Noctis didn't have the Armiger mode, which is like a rage mode, no character swapping. Insomnia, the last area in the game, is one of the smallest freaking areas. Why? Quite a bit of missing story information, no DLCs, and there's more. However, I still loved it back then. The question now is, will I love it as much as I did back then? I don't have to replay it, but it's been on my mind recently, especially when Lost Soul Aside, a game inspired by FF15, is about to come out in August, and I've been extremely hyped for it because it's been on my radar forever. So I thought it's time to pick up FF15 Windows Edition on Steam, which is supposedly the definitive way to play it. I am finally diving back into Final Fantasy 15, and it feels like a dream. First things first, gotta listen to the main menu music. A telltale sign if I am not just gonna like, but love a game or not. Like, I'm not gonna even lie to you. The OST is amazing. I no-node my pants, and I think you should check out the OST. We end up doing the tutorial because I gotta get the full experience. We meet Carbuncle, where if you played the Platinum DLC, you would have known a bit more about him, just a tad. We meet one of our party members, Gladio. He dies. Now, you know, he's helping us with the basics like combat, warp striking, magic looks fantastic. And lastly, whatever this is. Another reason I wanted to do the tutorial, there were these murals on the wall that you can learn about the lore, which I think you should read up to understand the world of Eos, even if it's a bit confusing. Well, now that we're here, let me lore dump you real quick because it is important for those who are watching and don't know what's happening in this game. We take place in the lands of Eos, Lucis, the magic kingdom of the Holy Crystal, and Niflheim, an army empire, both which have been long at war. A ceasefire was suggested by Niflheim in the condition that Noctis, the heir of King Lucis, marries Lunafreya in the town called Altissia. She is former princess of Tenebrae, current inherited oracle. There is currently a plague going on called the Star Scourge, and she is responsible for working together with the gods and deities of Eos to help those impacted by the plague. That is the foundation going into this game. The reason I am prefacing this is already in chapter 1, we are departing our hometown Insomnia and on our way to Altissia to marry Lunafreya, like I mentioned previously. And it seemed like your dad knew something that we didn't because he tells us to walk tall before sending us off.
Walk tall, my son.
There's definitely that took place beforehand, you know. FF15 loves to use things like lore books, conversations, DLCs, movies, things of that nature to not tell the story properly, and it becomes progressively more apparent the more you play the game. But before that, our car, the Regalia, breaks down and we have what I think is pure cinema, one of my favorite cast or party moments, the long trek for Mechanic. Florence and the Machine, you outdid yourself with the Stand By Me rendition, the way the boys talk and banter.
Steady. Push!
Gladio, Prompto, Ignis, those are your bros, entering this journey and for the rest of the journey. There's so much heart here and I can't help but smile. We finally stop in a town called Hammerhead to drop off our Regalia and we meet the mechanics Sid and Cindy, who said it will take a while before she is repaired. Also, nah man, I'm going to help her fix the Regalia. One second. But in the meantime, she tells us that there are some monsters in the area that's been
causing a ruckus around here.
But before that, I check out the local shop and I see Ebony. Something very small, but I never knew what it was previously. It's something I remember my past playthrough. Your party mentions Ebony when they're just checking out the shops. It's actually just a coffee brand. That's all. The first person mill that they added in the Windows edition of the game, it let me finally know what it is. I just thought it was pretty neat. I get on with the main quest. It's just a bunch of Slay X type beats until we get to Dualhorn, which was pretty cool. A little mini hunt, and it's our first time really getting in a warp strike from long distance. That was awesome. Also, he ragdolled for some reason after I beat him. Our car is finally done, and our real destination is Golden Key, where we need to take a boat to Altissia. We make a quick pit stop and we encounter Umbra, Luna Freya's dog, which really acts like a messenger between Noctis and Luna. First, that's just how they're communicating. It seems like they have history together. Secondly, this is how we get some backstory on Luna and Noctis' relationship, you know? And thirdly, I wrote, I love your ham sandwiches.
Excited.
And yeah, Umbra just takes off. Before we leave, I'm gonna take a picture with this chicken.
Let me get this shot. Oh, love the lighting.
Also, thank you Prompto for taking that photo. I also played Justice Monster 5, and I don't know, Square Enix somehow sneaked their mobile game into their actual game. The plug in their own game is crazy. And on our way to Golden Key, we hear about on the radio about the marriage and treaty proposal that's supposed to happen between, you know, Noctis, Luna, and it's basically lore that you should have known about from the start. And finally at Golden Key, it's so beautiful, such a cozy place. I love the bossa nova music, the scenery and ambiance. It just screams vacation. I also encountered a random book on this bench right here, aka the way Final Fantasy 15 introduces lore. This one is about the gods of Eos. And while I'm here, I check out the local fishing spot and we get some new recipes that Ignis has been mentally cooking up so that we can make it later at camp.
That's it!
What's up, Iggy?
I've come up with a new recipe.
Yeah, surely that's not a meme at all. And you know, this is one of the few times that I go out to camp out with the bros in this playthrough. And you know what? There was a cool bro moment. So Gladio, he's not just a bodyguard on our adventure, right? He's the shield to the royal family. He's gonna be your shield as king. But like, he's low-key also a gym rat. We have a cutscene with him basically. When we wake up in the morning, he's like, dude, let's race. It's such a good thing to get in shape and hone in our minds and bodies. And you know what? We beat him, light work, no reaction. Now, I love stuff like this. I just wish there were more moments that you could kind of encounter throughout the whole entirety of the game. The town that we met Umbra in, actually, if you slept at the inn, you would have also had like a heart-to-heart with Prompto and kind of like his insecurities. And I remember getting that on my first playthrough. That was mad impactful to me, but I just wish that it was actually mentioned in the game, how to either do it or just of that nature, you know. Now on our way to the ferry, we meet a wandering traveler who tells us there are no ships at this time. He comes off as mysterious, cunning, and theatrical. We see that, yeah, there really is no ship. We decide to rest in for the next day. Chapter 2, baby. Upon waking up the next day, our crew relays bad news. Insomnia has fallen. Niflheim made their move and invades Insomnia. This is where the Kingsglaive movie would help, as we get these CG cutscenes that look very out of place, like they don't belong in the game. So instead of going to Altissia, Noctis, the main character, makes the rash decision to go back and see what's happening. We fight some Niflheim soldiers, and I hit the cleanest dodges of my life. And by the end of it, we get word over radio broadcast that King Regis, Noctis' father, passes due to the invasion. They receive a call from Kor, head of the Crown's Guard, telling them to meet up, stating that, yeah, King Regis is actually dead. Another thing, we got a cutscene with Luna Freya holding some sort of ring, which is supposed to be important, and then she gets the book from Umbra to read whatever Noct wrote, and oh, you know, the situation's pretty sad. You meet up with Sid back in Hammerhead, and he kind of tells you that he wished he got to meet Regis before he passed away. It seems like they had some sort of connection. It seems like they go way back, considering they had a photo with each other. And again, I wish it was something that was explained or explored in the game. We end up meeting Kor at one of the King's Tomb, a place where the old forebears' royal weapons reside. There are a total of 13 royal arms, but the story only requires to get a handful of them. We pick up the first one here, and that cutscene, man, the particles, the blue, the lighting, it's fire!
The power of kings goes with you, Your Majesty.
And Kor knows another is nearby. He just doesn't accompany us. Well, just not for the tomb. I guess you do get him in your party for a little bit, which is actually really freaking cool. It's just very short-lived. So one of the most shallow things you might experience, because he leaves immediately.
Here's where we go our separate ways.
We head through the dungeon, spam this locked door because I thought it was funny.
Did you see that? Something ran past.
What was it?
Oh, let's find out.
We're not gonna run?
Fight the spider lady queen, I win, and retrieve our second royal arm. Only for Cord to call us and tell us that there is a new base blocking the Sky region. AKA we go there, enter a Michael Bay movie for some nobody Niflheim, and then we have this cute boy band moment. Alright, so I'm gonna group a couple of these chapters together because it's like a little arc, basically. But chapter 3, we're in the open world. Man, so many things open us to us. The new region, the sky, it's freaking awesome. And it's probably my favorite part of the game to explore. New scenery, you get to see grass. We get to touch grass.
And it's beautiful. Oh, the divinity.
There are new side quests like catching frogs. What? Yeah, I think I should mention right now that there's actually only a few side quests in the game that I would say is worth doing. There's only a few that are actually good. Most of them have you either fixing someone's car, catching frogs, or fishing. You know what? Fishing is kind of a nice change of pace. Scratch that. But the banger one here is the Chocobo quest. Not only do you get the Chocobo at the end, where you can ride anywhere, that's sick, but it starts out with you trying to rent a Chocobo, but you can't because they're too scared to go out, because of a creature called Deadeye. As you start to approach its lair or its location, you get to see these trees swaying in the distance, and eventually they fall and crash. It's freaking sick. Such a good mood setter. Also, sick name, just sick presentation. We eventually run into him accidentally, and I shit my pants. We have a little trailing in the mist, which is kind of cool. And when you do finally get to fight him, you don't just wail on him. You use magic to ignite explosive barrels to get the advantage. It's an awesome fight. Back to the story. We get a call from Gladio's little sister, Iris, saying that her and many people were able to fled Insomnia to a city called Lestalem. That's our priority stop. But before that, I found another book. This is about the Covenant, and I had no idea what this meant on my first playthrough. I thought it was confusing. It just means contracting and summoning the gods if we're in need of aid. And I think this is pretty important for the story going on, and I wish it was something that I knew my first time around. When we do meet up with Iris, Noctis gets these headaches and visions of the Astral Titan located in the disc of Kothis, which the god is trying to communicate with him and nudge him towards fulfilling his destiny. One of the civilians that fled with Iris, named Talkit, heard of a legend of a place behind a waterfall nearby. Do you know what this means? Another royal arm obtained. Let's go, baby!
This sounds like you're having fun.
However, that doesn't stop Noct from getting headaches. Our team thought it was finally time to check out the dislocation. And on our way to get a better look, we met up with the mystery man one more time, only for him to say it's a coincidence and he wants to show us the way there. What? So by the time we get there, it looks like it's actually gated off by Niflheim territory, but it seems like he was able to open it up just because of status? I don't know, man. I'm and a random ass interruption, we get to see the Oracle doing her duty for the first time, at least like with the voodoo star scourge and stuff. But if you guys are following at home, there's kind of a common theme with all of these cutscenes and randomness. It's like none of them really interact with each other, and it's like random points of like, oh, this is what I do here, this is a random ring here. Anyway, Noctis and his gang makes haste towards the center of the disc, but eventually we kind of get split off and we get stuck with Gladio. And low-key, Gladio thinks that we are baby back punk because of the situation. Noctis just kind of loves complaining, or at least being like, oh, and groaning.
Just want this to be over.
Gladio says,
Calm the hell down. Are you a man of royal blood or not?
Or aren't you?
oh my god, that was so cringe. Bruh. Long story short, we make it to the center, regroup with the gang, meet with the Titan who tests our strength, and it's a pretty cool cinematic. I mean, it's just an overall okay fight. I feel like it overstays its welcome, and the hit detection and everything is kind of garbanzo beans, but you know what? It's still pretty cool. But with this disruption of the Titan, Niflheim seeks to fight and capture us during the Covenant Rite. But once again, this dude shows up out of nowhere, only to formally introduce himself as Arden, Chancellor of Niflheim, only to escort us out of here. Impeccable timing as always. But the more I see him, the more I love him. He's just so theatrical and fun, and it's a treat to see him on screen. And at the cost of Arden saving us, we lose track of the regalia. More importantly, we meet a new character entirely, Gentiana, messenger of the gods, who relays to us to go find another, the god of thunder, Rama. This covenant was already made by the Oracle, All we need to do is visit some stone tablets, go through another cave dungeon, and bam, Rama is on our side, and we are another step closer to the calling of being a king. Cindy eventually finds the Regalia captive at a Niflheim base. This one not so explosive, majority stealth. I'm gonna be real, I did not sign up for this. I thought I was gonna be freaking having god blades around us and being able to... Basically what we got was the Uncharted 2 intro. To be fair, it's different, kinda cool, it just got old pretty freaking quick. And when we do go to approach our car, we get ambushed by Ravis, Lunafreya's brother, who is in the Niflheim army. What? Excuse me, Luna. Why is your brother against you? Why is he not helping her out? It's kind of a common trope. It's like someone doing something their way. It's just a little misguided. And it's kind of explained later, but his decisions and motives are questionable. Honestly, I wish we got to fight him right here, but we didn't. Gladio actually gets socked like a freaking punching bag, and somehow randomly Arden saves the day again. What the f is going on? So we get in our car, we drive back to Lestalem, and Jared died.
What happened to
There
Jared?
was nothing we could do!
Oh, you guys don't know who Jared is? So Talcot's grandpa just dies off screen by the Nifs. It's supposed to be sad, but 95% of the people that play this, I swear, have just been like, who's Jared? And on top of that randomness, we get Noctis in the official Omen trailer, like the release trailer for the game. And it's this fever dream. It's like it's CG, like the one in chapter 2. I don't know why they added this. I think it's kind of lazy and adds zero value, and that's what you get for spending 10 years on a game. But you really spent only 3 years on the game. Thanks, Final Fantasy 15 official works. But to be fair, at least it's keeping me engaged. Now chapter 6 and 7 kind of feels like extra fluff. And the reason I say that is that we're supposed to go to Cape Kayam to actually board a different ship, go to Altissia. We still haven't done that yet. But what ends up happening is we find another Niflheim base and we destroy it in revenge for Jared. Wrap it up. Okay, so there is a redeeming factor to this chapter. We get to see Arnea, a dragoon, and it's a legit boss fight with her, and she's a badass. But the mission just keeps getting elongated. We destroy the base, and now we can't get on the boat. We actually need a material for the boat to run. And by the time we get back, Gladio tells us he basically has a side quest to attend to, and he'll be back. He doesn't really tell us where he goes, and that leads into the Chapter Gladio DLC that I'll talk about later. It does lead to this cool underground water tomb dungeon. It's ominous, but very beautiful. And we get Mommy on our team. Arnea is legitimately a cool character, and I am down bad. You know, it really felt like this chapter was just a side quest chapter. There was this magic portal on the ground with an emblem on it, and I decided to step on it. I got teleported away from the overworld. Where this takes place is in Terra Wars. Terra Wars, apparently, is another mobile game. What is Square Enix's fixation with adding mobile games to their main series games? It's supposed to be a crossover side quest, and you can get a couple goodies from finishing this. You meet Sarah, which I assume is one of the characters from Terra Wars. I've never played it, who also seems to have gone teleported here. And the idea is that both of you guys team up and try to save the Hisso. That's what these aliens are called.
Hey, quit it, will ya?
Gee, you sure are a hit with the kids.
What the fuck? Sarah is an awesome character, and I love these team attacks with her.
One,
And I will say that this is also another quest that was actually really enjoyable to play. But this whole thing really cemented this chapter as like a filler chapter, a filler episode. And that is the end of chapter 7. I think it's a good time to take an intermission, kind of take a break from the story. And let's actually talk about what you do or how you played the game. Main story combat, the base game. Noctis. He can wield multiple weapons and you can just use the D-pad to switch between them freely, but his gimmick is warp striking. The bigger the distance, the bigger the damage. Also, warp striking is immensely satisfying, especially when you hit those big multipliers. And I think it stays satisfying because the environment allows for a lot of vertical points and easy access to keep warp striking. It's very cool. And actually fighting is fun for me. Now people are gonna think I have bad taste, but Noctis is fun when he works. The game kind of advises that you hold down the attack button and it kind of auto fights for you. But I actually like pressing the controller and feeling like I'm more in control, you know? And it's pretty sick because if you hold down different directions, you do different moves. With the daggers, you get to strafe around and attack the enemy swiftly. And with the lance, you do this like Hail Mary swipe attack. It's just a shame because the game doesn't tell you that. And in general, I think the combat can be better. The royal arms themselves are a bit tacky. Like, some of them absolutely rock, like the axe, for example. But all of the royal arms cost HP to use anyways, which most of the times just ends up downing me. Now, magic might look awesome, but I didn't really use it anyways, because there's freaking team damage. And the process for gathering magic around camps and then crafting it, I just wasn't really a fan of it, especially because it doesn't feel as gratifying to use in the late game. And with all of that in mind, the combat can still be pretty mindless. You can hold the attack button to attack, you can hold the dodge button to dodge and do these semi-auto parries, but it just doesn't feel like you're in control. Worst part, it just doesn't work half the time. And another thing to add, the fights just feel floaty to them. Noctis is a very floaty character. It can feel like a coin toss when you're trying to dodge. You're doing everything you think is right, and then there's like an unblockable attack the game doesn't tell you about, you get hit. But when it does work, I don't know, you feel like him. Being able to do real-time action combat with your homies, do link strikes and link up attacks, chain attacks, I no-node my pants. And to add to this, there is a sphere grid system that you can upgrade your team's abilities. There's an important one for perfect dodges where if you press it, you're invulnerable, you get some MP back, and it really changes the pace and kind of gets rid of that monotony in the combat. And there's another vital one, being able to switch characters. That's on the sphere grid. In this base version of Final Fantasy XV, you weren't able to switch between Gladio, Ignis, or Prompto. That is crazy! Now, I won't go over their gameplay styles right here. I'll gloss it over in the DLC section, but in general, I won't talk about it too much. I feel like you can kind of get the vibe just from seeing the gameplay on screen when they show up and things like that. But when you get to the DLC section, they play exactly like that. Their playstyles add a lot of value in mix-ups. Honestly, I love to play as Gladio. I think he's really fun. Of course, you got the RPG thing of like changing your accessories and things like that. That's normal. But of course, you can change your outfits. I love outfits. I love variety. As you can see, I love shit like that. So it's very important to me that I'm able to customize my characters how I want, or at least customize them with whatever I have. Another gameplay mechanic is in chapter, I think it's 3, Noctis gets the armature mode when he got that royal arm behind the waterfall. This is also new to the Windows version or Royal version. It basically allows you to call the power of the past kings and use their power. And the blue in this game, man, it's just so cool. The warp strike stuff, all the particles, so cool. And it can be cooler, because we still have summons, aka it's just an RNG event. You are not in control of summoning one of the gods of Eos, but when you do get that prompt, behold the spectacle. Now, we already talked about the side quests, and unfortunately, most of them are letdowns, but at least you have dungeons outside of that for like the Royal Tombs and Royal Arms. That's pretty fun to do, at least. I want to say the biggest two ones that I can remember off the top of my head are Deadeye and the Adamant Toys one. There's a secret chapter after you beat the game, you continue your save file, and you can fight this level 99 tortoise. When the game came out, it was advertised as like a boss fight that you're going to take 3 days on. Now, I definitely did not do it this playthrough, but I remember back then I used one of the endgame items to basically cheese him and insta-kill him. That was lit. But no way I'm doing it again. Now, I do suggest if you're going to do any of the extra monster hunts at the tipster, you should go camping with your bros. Now, if you have some sort of like luxury place to sleep, you get additional experience points. But if you are at a campsite, your base multiplier is like 1. But what you get instead is bomb-ass food. Delicioso. Type B. Oh yeah, also the food that he cooks for you gives you buffs. But come on, just look at the food. And on the same note as food, I do remember another side quest. There's one for Cup Noodle. Now, based off what I just said, each character has their own specialty, basically their own hobby to do outside of fighting. Ignis is obviously cooking, Gladio is like setting up camps, Noctis loves to fish, and Prompto loves to take photos of our journey. When you're finally at the end of the day or rest, Prompto shows you all these photos, and it feels so natural. Like, I can't help but love this group, I can't help loving their personalities. They feel real, man. They feel real. Even when they don't, they feel real. Overall, there's a lot of mechanics, a lot of them I like. You can create those cinema-like moments when it works. The game's the first Final Fantasy open world, but it's also really not open world. There's a bunch of invisible walls that you think you can go through, but you can't. And to top it all off, the open world, there's just a bunch of running. I know I went on like a tangent, but I enjoyed the gameplay for what it was. You know, I like the combat. My arms are open, and I will probably go back to it. Okay team, good intermission, but we gotta get back to the story. Chapter 8 starts us with helping Lestalem. Gladio returns obviously with a new scar, and we make haste to Cape Caem to catch the ship to Altissia. And yes, trying to make Gladio a mystery man was one of the stupidest things they could have done. Like, we obviously knew it was him. We actually get to meet with basically the majority of the side cast NPCs till this point. We take a photo, and Core reminds us that our party members aren't just our bodyguards, they are our brothers. W quote. Oh my god, it only took us 8 chapters to get on a damn boat. Who's carrying the boats? Because it's not Noctis. It's literally been our objective since the first chapter, and it took over half the game to get on the boat and do what we needed to do. I get there are all these other things, but I want to say like half of it's kind of fodder, you know? We get the power of the gods, we get the royal arms, it's building our character to become a real king, but there could have been a more natural way to do it. And on top of that, this marks the end of the open world section of the game. Starting from now, when we go to Altissia, there's no more open world. You can go back, but it's not congruent with the story whatsoever. You're basically going back in time if you go back into the open world. And it being all narrative, it's so weird because the game built itself upon the world. Instead of adding like 1 or 2 more regions, it's all linear. Chapter 9, we ride the boat and explore the city of Altissia. Lunafreya is there, and she's in the hands of the government official. So it's our job to strike a deal with her and do this like stupid conversation minigame that has absolutely no impact on the story, and I thought this was the stupidest part of the game. But it is important enough because Luna plans to do the right with the Hydrian, Leviathan. Which could cause catastrophic damages. Ironically, it doesn't even matter because the Imperials invade and impede the right, causing damage regardless. Eventually, we ride with Prompto on this Niflheim jet lance to reach the Hydrian, but eventually we do pass out due to the god's power. Ardid shows up out of the cuts to rid Luna, stabbing her as an act of revenge against Lucis. But before she falls, she gives Noct an awakening. And I gotta say, the awakening was a whole gameplay shift. It was one of the most memorable parts of the game. The fight itself was just a spectacle to behold. You were basically in Armiger mode the whole time, and it was nice. Now, I will hold it accountable a little bit because there is still that gameplay clunk to it, but straight up, everything to this point, even though I had some gripes with it, I don't know, it feels like peak, man. And especially this fight, it's so freaking awesome. Now, when we do defeat Leviathan, we do get knocked out, and we have a dream about Luna, essentially a spiritual passing. Unfortunately, this is where I lay down the hammer, and I think that she just wasn't well developed enough. We really only get a couple cutscenes with her throughout the game, and you're telling me that I'm supposed to build this connection and feel very, very bad for her? I get it. She died, but unfortunately I don't really have that connection with her. And it's very much a shame because I love her character design. I love what she is supposed to represent, the embodiment of hope and light. But because she was underdeveloped, it just did not hit for me. Now, by the time we wake up, Ignis lets us know that we gained quite a lot, the power of the Hydrian and the Ring of Lucis. Now, equivalent exchange, Lunafreya has officially passed. And my boy has seen better days. I guess it's not really explained in this chapter, but my boy's blind. And that's just something that we're gonna have to save until the DLC. Oh, chapter 10. Like, this is when they really try to hone in on the narrative, but I think it's just the presentation that makes me not like the rest of these chapters, besides the final one. There's a lot of tension in our party as we catch a train to try to get the Lucis crystal back from the Empire. Noct feels like he's not worthy to be the king, has emo trauma. Gladio, just like us, thinks he's a baby back bum who needs to grow up since the situation is getting pretty bad.
Maybe when you're not too busy moping, you can look around and give a shit about someone worse off than you. Let go of me. How's that ring fit you? You rather carry it around than wear it?
And my boy, he's blind!
Listen, I'm here for it because the presentation just isn't favorable for anyone. Like Gladio and Noct, we verbally clash, and it's not like it's out of nowhere, it's just not natural. Regardless, we still need a tomb hunt, we still need more royal arms. The train eventually stops, there's a tomb nearby conveniently, and then we encounter a Marlborough. However, we only defeat it thanks to my boy Ignis's help. And you guys gotta remember, this guy is literally blind. He's blind, and yet he was able to quickly think on his feet and still become the tactician of the group.
And after the Marlborough fight, Ignis states to the group, to be a king, to lead, one must accept the consequences and never look back.
And everyone should shut the f up.
You're damn right.
And with that tenderness, everyone is just a little bit less awkward, but it's manageable now. I want to thank Ignis. Thank you for not prolonging this awkwardness. You, my favorite character, you a real one.
Now it's expressed that these days are becoming shorter and shorter as the darkness is spreading through the lands of Eos. And we do get a little conversation with Ignis telling Noctis how he got his eyes messed up so badly. Apparently he faced off with the Chancellor. Again, more about that later.
Okay, so I also wrote this part in a script that I barely remember what happened.
Hey, post-editing Billy here. To make this short because I have no idea what I was smoking here. The train freezes. Time freezes, and we get a glimpse of Arden. We chase after him, but it was all deception. Turns out, all of this was done to mask that there was actually an invasion happening to the train. This is probably the second most memorable part of the game. The train departing, you warp striking onto the Niflheim ships, pure cinema. We do what we can, but we try to go after Arden. And if it isn't obvious yet, Mr. Arden, the Chancellor, he is the Mr. Bad Guy of the game. He merely plays the jester of the story, but under that mask is unfathomable rage. And when we do find him, confront him, I don't know what happened, but Noct gets confused, and I guess I end up pushing Prompto off because of Arden's deception. And I thought it was very funny the way that Prompto's audio cuts in. I am sorry, that had me dying.
You know what that means? DLC. Yeah, we're in chapter 12.
So after we accidentally push Prompto off the train actually just gets invaded by a bunch of demons, and we try our best to hold them off, but luckily the Leviathan was there to help us.
Now the group not really knowing what to do, we stop in Tenebrae, talk to Aranea, and she actually mentions she's no longer with Niflheim. She's no longer in the army, and she's a merc now. She's a mercenary. Honestly, good for her. Honestly, I wish there was a chapter Aranea. That would have been a cool DLC. We also learn a bit about Ravis and his intentions of why he is with Niflheim. It was to basically get Noct in the ring and try to save her, but basically he got the ring, tried to use it, but because he's not of royal blood, the power rejected him and it basically destroyed his arm. Again, just a guy with bad decisions. But thankfully, thanks to Aranea's crew, we're actually able to continue the story. And we continue our journey to the crystal with the idea that Prompto will most likely show up. Now we do get another encounter with Arden,
basically saying, meet me at the crystal.
Gentiana ends up being Shiva, which is pretty crazy actually, that was awesome. And she ends up sharing Luna's memory with Noct. And this is a big deal because it's basically allowing him to try and move on from chapter 9.
Also, I don't remember the context, but Noct, why do you have a sword through your arm? The infamous chapter 13. Oh my god, what happened? The train is overrun with demons, and suddenly we lost power to summon our weapons. We run to the Regalia on board to escape, but on top of demons, Imperial fire rains upon us, giving the Regalia one last hurrah to remember her by. You know, it's pretty impactful to me that we basically just lost our 5th member. It's like if Epona died in Zelda. Now, the infamous part of the game comes when you get split up with Gladio and Ignis. You can play either sides, and I think that's something that they added in one of the updates, but the intended route is that you play as Noctis. This has to be one of the
biggest piece of dog shit.
Small corridors, no weapons, only the king of Lucis. Noctis puts on his big boy pants, puts on the ring, and does his duty. But at what cost? This is the most linear the game has been, and the section is like 2 hours long. I mean, eventually we do meet up with the boys and then we rescue Prompto, but it's just the claustrophobic nature of this whole thing it genuinely sucks. It's like a 1 out of 10 experience. The ring is cool, but it's not cool to actually play with.
And even the narrative that happens inside this area, we find the Founder's sword, another royal arm, and when Noctis takes the sword, he just aura farms on Ravis's dead body. What the f?
Now when we do find the crystal, it basically eats him up. He has to fulfill his destiny now.
Arden shows up for the last act.
He also states his full name is Arden Lucis Calum, and was in line to be king, and he is awaiting Noctis's return to fight on equal ground and make his revenge the more satisfying.
Something we really won't know about until his DLC.
I shall keep your friends company to
Well, now that we're in space, Noctis meets Bahamut, and this whole section basically sums up fate. Noctis' fate. His fate is eventually to sacrifice himself to the darkness to bring peace and light back to the world, to get rid of the darkness completely. And although it might look funny, he's taking an armadillo pose, Noctis needs to stay in the crystal, harness the power of the crystal until he's ready to become the real king.
We are at the end now. The true king has been born. The world is pitch black, but we make our way and wound up in Golden Key. Desolate, destroyed, but full of demons. It's truly horrifying. We do find one car driving by though. It ends up being Talcott, and he's way older. 10 years have passed since harnessing the power of the crystal. Demons roam around everywhere and it's not safe. Eos has seen better days for sure, and it makes me remember the times it was just me and the boys in Hammerhead, the Sky, Lestalem, running around on chocobos or driving the Regalia. I miss those times. We make it to Hammerhead and Talcott shows us Gladio, Prompto, and Ignis, the boys, all older. Since our disappearance, they've basically been doing stuff alone. But for one last time, we get to be together and put an end to this.
Are you with me?
Of course. You bet.
Until the very end.
It's time to finish this. Once and for all.
We make strides to Insomnia, also ravished and destroyed, and killing demons after demons, even one of the gods, Ifrit.
Sorry to break this up.
The cursed kings of old,
Not on my watch. You're up, Prompto.
My turn! Come on, Iggy!
No mercy. Go, Noct.
It's over.
we are about to go head to head with Arden. But one more thing, before we go, we pick our favorite photo to bring with us.
I can't beat that. A shot of all four of us together.
With Arden sedating our boys, we begin our clash with the so-called chosen king of the past. Truly an insane fight. And send him to the afterlife.
That is how you would end it.
And before we rid the darkness and do our duty, we talk to Ignis, Prompto, and Gladio one last time. We are at the end now. We hear a familiar phrase.
Walk tall, my friends.
Nox sits in his rightful place at the throne, and he calls the power of the crystal, using the Ring of Lucis, draining his life force. This selfless act to go into the life after and permanently banish Arden's spirit completely. restoring balance to the world, Noctis 2 dies.
Oh man, where do I even start about my feelings about this game? Listen, I played this game at 17. I was both in high school and college, but straight up, I was pretty much alone during that time. This game filled an important part of my life with something I didn't have at the time, until eventually, I did. You know, for the most part, chapters 1 through 9 were awesome, even with the biggest of lows. The open world is the biggest draw to the game, and the biggest compliment that I can give. It's fantastic. Being able to run around and drive in the setting and hearing the banter, it's something I can't describe. It's so beautiful in the way that it was designed, and even 9 years later, it looks fantastic still. Now, I definitely didn't 100% this game back in the day, but I was pretty damn close. And there was a reason for that, because it meant I got to dive back to hunting with my favorite emo boy band. So when my friends bought this book for my birthday, I don't know, it just felt like going full circle in a way. Reading and experiencing this book continuously fills my thoughts with wonder and curiosity. It's a constant reminder of the importance that this game has had on me. Now, chapters 10 through 13 are pretty much a dud for me, but even then, highlighting moments like the regalia going into flames and just going out, it legitimately had my heart stopping because how much I was invested into it. In chapter 14, man, like what a way to send it off. Like, it's the last push you have with your brothers in the best possible way. And this time around, it means more to me, but I keep replaying that moment in chapter 8 when Cor was like, these guys aren't just your bodyguards, but they're your brothers. Like, it hits way harder this time around. Like, by the end of the journey, you blink and it's all over. It might not be a natural presentation. The characters have their ups and downs, but it's almost poetic when you factor in everything. Like how much the game has changed. All the info being spread across all this different types of media. And you know what? This is Final Fantasy 15. This is the final product, and I love it despite its flaws. If we're talking about the main cast, this has to be one of my top parties in any RPG. Seriously. And of course, if I'm being critical, the story felt like it was wandering for half of the game. And honestly, I was probably still as confused as I was back then. That's why I went to go out and fish randomly at certain times, because the open world filled the gap for me. When the credits roll, we see our group at a campfire one last time. It freaking jerks my heart because it's Noctis trying to explain and show his appreciation to his bros. Like, I cried the first time around, I cried even harder the second time around. Like, I cried. I cried again when they changed the title screen to represent the Oracle and the King. And when the music plays, oh my god, I cried. Oh, I'm about to cry, bro. Like, I noticed I put games in my top 10 or top 15 or whatever when it has a major impact on my life, and this is one of those games, you know?
Now, we aren't fully done yet. We got 4 DLCs to run through, and none of them really affect my enjoyment of the base game since they're all like 2 hours each max. I view them more as like sprinkle on top DLCs. This video is already as long as it is, so I won't go crazy, but let's start with Chapter Gladio. It's about him proving his worth as Shield to the King. It's a very shallow story, but you do learn more about Core, which is kind of cool. The best part of the DLC has to be the gameplay though. I mentioned it a bit earlier, but I think Gladio has the best gameplay, or at least consistent gameplay. They should have made Noctis as fluid as him.
His attacks come out faster, he has a skill that he can charge himself. The biggest thing, he can perfect block, which feels fantastic. I say Gladio is really fun to play because I abused this mechanic in chapter 14. And he's just really fluid to play. The floatiness that came with Noctis is pretty much cut in half or maybe even more. But all in all, you don't need to play this DLC. Now, Prompto's DLC is more interesting for sure. Now, when I was talking about chapter 13, I did skip some information, but it was revealed then that Prompto was a Magitech soldier. He was actually created by Niflheim.
His story revolves around him coming to terms with his fear and insecurities about being a Magitech soldier. The locations are cool since it's in the snow and you get a snowmobile. You also get Aranea on your team. Massive W. And the gameplay is like Uncharted 1 PS3 levels of shooting. It's pretty fun actually, and It's actually an awesome change of pace. You get to use all types of weapons that aren't in the base game, which is nice. I just wish the gunplay itself was a lot smoother. It's kind of jagged.
You know, as someone who really loves this guy, I appreciate the DLC a lot because it's really about the little things. Like, look at this before and after rest scene, where one is in the beginning he feels like he is by himself, and towards the end, it's him accepting himself and his worth with Arnea. And there's no coherency here. I thought it was fun to bring back because it was in the beginning of the video, but you see a whole ebony vending machine. Again, it's the little things. Now, Ignis's DLC is 100% my favorite, covering how he lost his eyesight. It just turns out that he was split up from the entire crew. This man was on a solo mission. That was mission impossible because he had to fight Magitech soldiers for territory and he still had Noct in his mind. Homie's a real one. The elemental dagger gameplay is nice and snappy, and every element represents a situation that can be covered, where he can build a skill meter that charges and unleashes havoc. Now, story-wise, he eventually partners with Ravis, who at the end of the day just wants to save his sister. But after trying to kill Noct, we have this sick-ass duel.
Stand in my way and you too shall meet the same fate. Death! Come to your senses, man!
Do knock some sense into him. The king does need to fulfill his duty, but then Arden comes swooping in and sabotaging everything. Stuck in a dire situation, Ignis puts on the Ring of Lucis, activating Super Saiyan mode, and we get to fight Arden with it. Holy shit!
No time to waste now. If you are quick about it, you're the one liable to wind up dead.
And in this process, the power of Lucis rejects Ignis, destroying his eyesight. Oh my god, this is a story of bravery and sacrifice. If anything, this is the DLC to play. If I were to choose one, I'd recommend this one. Dude, you even get a grappling hook. Ignis is him!
And now the last DLC we have is Chapter Arden.
This one is the full backstory for why Arden is the way he is. Originally the chosen heir to be the king, and with the powers thought to dispel the Star Scourge, turns into an absolute mess when Somnus accidentally kills the Oracle, which just happened to be the love of his life, by accident. Yeah, and on top of that, the power to heal the Star Scourge, yeah, no, he got demon powers. We're cooked. He was locked up, used for testing for the Niflheim, and was just unhappy. With everything online, he wanted to do everything in his power to take revenge and make the line of Lucis unhappy as possible. And I feel like you can kind of see why he acts the way he does and why killing off Luna in chapter 9 makes so much more sense now. But I do think it's kind of confusing overall, because firstly, he was chosen to be the king by the crystal, but Somnus didn't want him to be, either by jealousy or whatever it was explained. But after everything, Somnus ended up being the king even though he wasn't chosen by the crystal. It's just pretty confusing because the crystal literally chose Arden. You know? Regardless, it gives the full context as to why Arden didn't go full vengeance and kill everyone off, and why he played more into the theatricals, because no matter what, it seemed like fate was going to have him defeated regardless.
Now, on a narrative level, I think it's very serviceable and it gets a pass for me. But this overall chapter, I think I'm in the minority when I say that I don't really like playing it. The coolest part is being able to zip around Insomnia and go on top of the vertical buildings, Spider-Man type shit. His gameplay is similar to Noctis, but with like a demonify power. But none of the bosses really stand out. Nothing about this chapter really stands out. Oh, you know what? There is one boss. This boss, I think it's bullshit. Not being able to heal when you go into your demon mode is bullshit. The only reason it is really kind of hard is because you're fighting a boss and multiple minions. It's kind of annoying. And if I were to rank the DLC chapters, it would probably be Ignis number 1, Prompto number 2, Arden number 3, and Gladio number 4. And that is Final Fantasy 15. I didn't mean this to be a story dump or lore video, but rather the inconsistencies and issues that make up one of the more impactful games I have played in my life. You know, it's not even anywhere near the realm of perfect, and I like to think of it as a what if it was a masterpiece type of game. Something about that idea, upcoming, and its past makes me appreciate it a lot.
Now, I dabbled in Comrades, and I'm just going to straight up say I'm not going to cover it in this video. This is the only thing I'm really not covering in this video. This feels like a DLC for no reason DLC. It's just you doing a bunch of missions in order to restore some light to the world, and it feels very uninspired. Also, the game is dead. Now, what would have been cooler is if the planned chapter Noctis and Luna came out. That was scheduled at one point, but unfortunately, they scrapped it. And I guess that's just another mark on its legacy, you know? And you know, it all culminates to this point right now. And I think it makes sense. The adventure that we had, the inconsistencies, the story, this was just all a part of the bumpy road that I experienced again. But man, it was one hell of a journey. And with that, I just want to let you guys know that
You guys are the best.
Hey, it's Billy, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I spent probably way too long on this, so I would appreciate it if you guys can leave a comment, let me know your opinions, and if I had misinformation, let me know down in the comments. Let me know if you guys agree with my opinion or not, you know. I also have a Discord, so you guys are willing to chat and just kind of want to talk it up a little bit. I'll leave the link in the description, but feel free to join. It's an open space. I love you guys. Hopefully my videos can get back on track. This was kind of just a one-off, you know, unless you guys like it. But yeah, I will see you in the next one. Peace.
before we leave, I'm gonna take a picture with this chicken.
Let me get this shot. Oh, love the lighting.